The Cannibal King, 3. The story so far. A king was banished from his kingdom for eating human meat. He lived in a forest, hunting for humans, and became known as Porasada. As an act of compassion, his friend King Mahasutasoma guided him to forego human meat and led him towards a virtuous life. Finally, the former cannibal was reunited with his family and regained the throne. King Mahasutasoma was in actuality a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is a being who had vowed to become a Buddha, capable of liberating beings from the endless rounds of rebirth and death. When his lifetime as Mahasutasoma passed, he was reborn a multitude of lifetimes. In those lifetimes, he cultivated sublimated virtues such as generosity, morality, renunciation, wisdom, energy and effort, patience and forbearance, truthfulness, determination and loving kindness. Having committed to these 10 sublimated virtues, the bodhisattva evolved into a being who was endowed with the wisdom and moral virtues that are ripe enough for him to attain the supreme Sabbhanuta wisdom. For his ultimate birth, he chose King Suddhodana, ruler of Kapilavatthu, and Queen Maya to be his parents. At the age of 29, despite living a life of privilege and luxury, he left the palace, his wife and baby son, to seek for liberation from the endless cycles of birth and death. At the age of 35, he attained Sabbhanuta wisdom, became a Buddha and delivered his first sermon, known as Setting in Motion the Wheel of Dhamma, to his former colleagues, the 5 ascetics. From then on, the Sangha, monk disciples, community was established. Buddha and his Sanghas traveled far and wide, across northern India and taught Dhamma, with the noble intention that ordinary people acquire the habit of living a life of moral rectitude and guided awaken people to the path towards liberation. In the time of Buddha, 2,500 years ago, Sravasti was a thriving city. It was the capital of Kosala Empire where King Prasenji resided. 2 of the greatest Buddhist monasteries, Jetavana and Pubaran, were in the outskirts of Srasvati. One night, King Prasenji noticed a very weird incident. All the weapons in his bedchamber glistened with a bright light. The same thing was noticed by the palace staff, all over the palace. The next morning, he summoned his soothsayers and told them about the strange occurrence. They told the king that all the householders of the city reported their weapons glistening strangely the night before. They read this sign and the stars and interpreted that a serial killer was born in our midst last night. One of them, however, remained silent throughout the session. He was the king's chief counselor, and had a good reason for the silence, because his wife gave birth to a baby son that night. The chief counselor and his wife named their baby boy Ahinsaka. Notwithstanding the prophecy, they raised their son to be conscientious and responsible boy. Consequently, he grew up healthy, strong and intelligent. At the proper time, he was sent to study under a well-known professor. Studying under a professor involved staying at the professor's house with other students. The young men helped with the household chores when they are not studying. The tuition fees were to be paid only after they left school and had income of their own. That was the tradition, in those days. Ahimsaka applied himself well, anticipating a time when he would follow his father's footsteps and become the chief counselor to the king. Furthermore, Ahimsaka had a cheerful disposition and was very diligent in helping with the household chores. This made him a favorite of the professor's wife. The other students became increasingly jealous of Ahimsaka. They plotted to put a wedge between the professor and Ahimsaka. At first, they started with a subtle innuendo like, "Teacher, your wife and Ahimsaka are very friendly, too friendly." After some time, they became bold enough to put in downright slanders like, "Teacher, your wife and Ahimsaka are having an affair." In the beginning, the professor did not believe them. It was unthinkable that his devoted wife and his favorite student would be betraying him. He knew that they were just malicious gossips by jealous schoolmates to ruin Ahimsaka. But after much inciting, the professor thought that there must be some truth in them. He was doubtful, but now he was convinced that these gossips were true. One day, the professor called Ahimsaka to his side and said, "Look here, Ahimsaka, your course of study is about to end. You have proved yourself to be an eager learner and most intelligent. While other students can go home, I would like you to stay on because I will teach you more profound knowledge. Unlike other students, you have a bright future ahead of you. You are destined to become a high official of the court like your father. You need to equip yourself with higher knowledge. The professor continued, as for the payment, I'm not accepting cash or kind from you. Instead, you must make an offering of 1,000 human forefingers. Do you agree to this arrangement? Ahimsaka, being an obedient and trusty person, agreed, unaware that it was actually a treachery to destroy him. To acquire the forefingers that his teacher asked for, he went to a forest and waited for unwary travelers, assailed them and cut off their forefingers. But some of them fought back, and some of them got away. So, the easier option is to kill them first and cut off the fingers later. In this way he became a serial killer. Soon, he got quite a number of fingers. In order not to lose them, he strung them into a cord and wore it around his neck like a garland of fingers. People who usually traveled in the forest dared not go anymore because of a serial killer who terrorized in the forest. They named him Angulimala, meaning garland of fingers. As time went by, Angulimala had only one finger left to complete his collection to pay his teacher. One day, he lurked in the forest for a traveler, so he could cut off his finger and be over with his task. By then, King of Kosala had given orders to his soldiers to capture and kill Angulimala. His mother, the wife of the king's counselor, heard about the order and went alone into the forest, to warn her son that the soldiers are on their way to kill him. By then, King of Kosala had given orders to his soldiers to capture and kill Angulimala. His mother, the wife of the king's counselor, heard about the order and went alone into the forest, to warn her son that the soldiers are on their way to kill him. Angulimala was waiting in vain for a person to kill and cut off a finger, when he saw his mother at a distance. Blinded by his immense desire to make offering to his teacher, he chased her. Angulimala was waiting in vain for a person to kill and cut off a finger, when he saw his mother at a distance. Blinded by his immense desire to make offering to his teacher, he chased her. His mother could only run away, cry out. "My son, you are making a mistake. It's me, your mother." But Angulimala was closing in upon her, with a dagger wielding in his hand. At the time Angulimala was terrorizing in a forest near Srasvathi, Lord Buddha was residing in the Jetavana monastery. It was the customary of Lord Buddha to scan the universe twice daily, using his immeasurable Sabanuta wisdom, the first time, at the break of dawn, and the second time at night, when most of the bhikkhus were asleep. On that day, early in the morning, while he was scanning the universe with his omniscient mind, he had a vision of Angulimala chasing his mother to kill her. Angulimala was, actually, a being who had accumulated enormous good karma and had atoned for the bad karma he had made in his previous lifetimes. Although in this life, he was led astray by a vengeful teacher. He had accumulated enough perfections to attain the wisdom leading to nirvana. Buddha knew that if he were to commit matricide, one of the worst akusala kama, he would be reborn in hellish realms for eons, thus prolonging dukkha before he could escape from samsara. Angulimala was about to fall into an horrible abyss, from which he could not escape for eons, unless Lord Buddha intervened.
Angulimala was relentlessly chasing his mother, when he suddenly saw a monk walking before him, thus hiding his mother from the view. He changed his mind. Instead of killing his mother, he would kill the monk, but run as he might, he could not come close to the monk, who was walking slowly and calmly. It was Buddha himself. "Stop, monk, stop," he shouted. The monk stopped and said, "I have stopped. You are the one who is still running." As soon as he heard the words, he felt a sense of déjà vu that sent shivers throughout his whole body. He was not sure, but somewhere, perhaps in a previous lifetime, he had heard those words before, spoken by a monk who was a guardian spirit of the tree and his friend King Sudasoma, who guided him towards a virtuous path, and to forsake his vicious ways. Angulimala was, in fact, Porasada, a cannibal king in one of his previous lives. Buddha was his benevolent friend, King Mahasudasoma, in that lifetime. The serene and compassionate voice of Buddha triggered a peaceful and tranquil mind in Angulimala. He threw away his dagger, and knelt down in front of Buddha. Buddha gave him a sermon, and at the end of the sermon he resolved to give up his self-destructive ways, and went along with Buddha to join the Sangha community. Once he became a bhikkhu, he wholeheartedly practiced meditation. Although he repented his bad karma, he could never get a tranquil mind while meditating. Every time he sat down to meditate, visions of his bloody victims, dead bodies, dismembered fingers and voices of people, shouting, "Have mercy on us, take everything, but spare our lives," cries for help, kept appearing in his mind. Buddha knew about the hallucinations Bhikkhu Angulimala was having, and called him to his side and asked, "Have you ever killed a man ever since you become a bhikkhu?" Angulimala answered, "No, my lord, I have never harmed, much less kill anyone." Then, focus on this affirmation when you meditate, Buddha advised. But still there are many other obstacles he had to confront. Although his real name was Ahimsaka, he was still called Angulimala, and when he went for his alms round, people were reluctant to give him alms, due to fright and hatred. He usually came back to the monastery with an empty alms bowl. His trials and tribulations did not end there. Some people, unaware that a transformation had taken place in him, remembered his notorious ways and threw stones at him, beat him with sticks and punched him, but he had resolved to tolerate and never harmed them back. Very often, he came back to the monastery, with bruises and bleeding. One day, he stopped for alms in front of a house. It so happened that, at the time he stood in front of the house, a young woman in the house was having a difficult childbirth. He could hear her moaning and cries from the agony. The people of the house were at a loss to what to do because her life was in danger. Venerable Angulimala felt sorry for the young woman. Then he remembered what his master, Buddha, taught him when he was having hallucinations while meditating. Make a declaration of truth, Buddha advised him. He then made a declaration of truth. Sister, since I was born in the noble birth, I do not recall myself intentionally killing a living being. By this truth, may you be well, may your baby be well. When he finished, all the cries of pain stopped and the healthy baby was delivered safely. From then onwards, whenever there was a difficult childbirth, people requested Veen 36 Rabel Angulimala to recite the declaration of truth. And in this way, he saved thousands of lives. This declaration of truth, well known in Buddhist texts as Angulimala Sutta, is recited by pregnant women to this day. It is also believed to cure other maladies as well. In T88, his way, Venerable Angulimala was redeemed for his past deeds. He gained many devoted disciples and abundant